everyone, and welcome. Recently you guys asked us for a guide on how to punish low elo junglers that seemingly do random routes. I'm excited to announce that's exactly what you'll be learning in this video. We'll be taking you through 5 different games that I played that are no higher than gold elo. So let's jump straight into it and learn how you can apply the concepts we teach you weekly to destroy the enemy jungler. For our first game, we're going to start with a standard route just so that we have a baseline to compare the other randomness to. I'm playing Jack's Jungle, which we recently made a guide on how to play, so check it out if you want to learn more. Jack's Jungle is a farm heavy jungler, so it makes sense that I want to start red and execute the Korean Krug strategy where I take Krugs and Raptors next to maximize my golden experience. That being said, you always want to analyze your side lane matchups to determine where you want to start. In this case, I have an Ezreal Zilean bot lane against Caitlyn Braum. Ezreal Zilean is a very safe lane, and so I can reliably path away from this lane with the expectation of them not dying early and just surviving. Compare this to top, where we have Shen against Kled. Both are melee champions that will be trading into each other. So by choosing to start red, I can not only execute the Korean Krug strategy, but also pass to the more volatile top lane over my passive and safe bot lane. As you take your first buff, you always need to be checking the side lanes to see who arrives late, as this indicates they're leashing for the enemy jungler. In this case, bot showed early while Kled was missing top, indicating that the enemy jungler Echo is starting out as red. This means there's no chance of us clashing at the ends of our routes, as we're pathing in opposite directions. This is how I know I can take my time and clear my entire red side jungle without worry. As I transition to the top side of the map, I check the state of my lanes as you should always be doing. If we look top, we can see Kled and Shen are low in health. This is how I know to skip my wolves and immediately take my blue. This way I'll have double buffs and be in position to gank top as fast as possible. Unfortunately, my top laner dies 1v1 right before I can gank, which is standard procedure in solo queue. However, Kled did use his flash to get the kill, which you should be taking note of. Next, we take the scuttle since it spawned. Again, we need to check the state of our lanes. We spot that Orianna is low in health mid lane, and makes for an obvious choice to gank. This allows us to not only get a kill on her, but also get her flash. This gank comes from a concept we've taught you a lot recently, which is that the lower in health an enemy is, the higher the chance of a successful gank. If Orianna was any higher in health, she definitely would have survived. We then move to farm our wolves, and Gromp, since they are the only camps left alive. After which, we can see Kled is overextended top and near half health. We know to execute a gank top for 2 reasons. First, Kled used his flash earlier when he killed Shen. Second, we just finished clearing our jungle, and we'll need to recall and head to our Krugs that just spawned. Essentially, this is our last chance to gank top and influence this lane before we leave this side of the map. From this, we secure an easy kill top into soaking some minion experience. This is a typical early game, following fundamental concepts we've taught you, without any randomness from the enemy jungler interfering with our plan. Our next replay changes all of that. Here I'm playing Evelynn against Kayn. Again, we recently created a guide on Evelynn jungle, so check it out if you want to learn how to play her. I start the game placing an early ward on the enemy's Raptors. This is a great early ward, because if the enemy jungler starts at their red, you can know if they take their Raptors next. If they don't take them, then that means you know that they went to their Krugs. Additionally, Kayn players often start at their Raptors to do a leashless opener, which this ward will spot. After placing the ward, I recall. This is to do the ward trick where you place an early ward into swapping to a sweeping lens. This sweeping lens will help execute early ganks by knowing if the enemy sees me and removing their early vision. As I start red, I take note of how I can't see Kayn in my ward at Raptors. This tells me he's not doing a leashless opener. Then Jarvan shows top early, while bot lane is missing. This tells me that he started out as blue. For this reason, I make an adaptation of skipping my Krugs and doing my Raptors immediately. This is because I'm starting on the same side of the map as the enemy jungler, and we're in a rush to the top side of the map where we'll likely clash. I want to get to the top side first, so that I can get the first gank off on top lane and secure lane priority there to take the top scuttle after. Then as I continue to kill my Raptors, something strange happens. I spot Kayn in the ward at his Raptors. He shouldn't be at this camp this early on if he started at blue, so I move my camera to check his buffs. I can see that he has none. This tells me that he actually started at his wolves. Starting at your wolves is an unorthodox farming route where you look to do wolves, Raptors, red, Krugs, recall, into taking your blue and Gromp. This means that his blue and Gromp are still alive and open to being stolen. I move to invade and steal them both successfully. After this, the nearby scuttle is spawning soon and I take it as it does. At this point, I have one priority, taking my own blue side jungle to secure the farm lead I've acquired by invading. Even though bot lane is overextended, if I were to gank them, this would inform Kayn, who's on the top side of the map, that my blue side jungle is up and available to be stolen. Looking at the minimap, I can see I have lane priority mid and move to contest the topside scuttle. This allows me to take the topside scuttle into securing the rest of my blue side camps, not only getting a 2 camp lead from invading, but also a 2 scuttle lead, for a total of a 4 camp advantage in the early game. In our next game, I'm playing Kha'Zix against Shaco. I start the game by pinging my team for an invade on the enemy's red, which I highly recommend doing when facing a Shaco. You see, Shaco takes Ignite and Smite, which means he doesn't have Flash. Additionally, he has to place several of his boxes in order for him to get a strong early start. By invading, you can not only look to activate the boxes early, causing them to have a significantly weaker start, but if you do catch him, he doesn't have Flash to escape. In this case, we catch him at his red, which makes for an easy kill into activating one of his boxes. After this, we recall and start at our red. With the early wards we have in the enemy's red side jungle, I know that Shaco is starting at his blue. Since we're starting on the same side of the map, I know we're in a race to the other side where we'll likely clash over the scuttle. For this reason, I once again adapt and skip my Krugs in order to path to the top side faster. As I'm taking my wolves, I spot Shaco in the wards. As always, the first time you spot the enemy jungler, you need to hit tab and check their CS. In this case, Shaco has 8 CS, which means he has only farmed 2 camps in his blue side jungle and left one alive. This lets me know that he still needs to farm 2 additional camps to hit level 3. Compare this to where I am in my route, and we can see I'm slightly ahead of him in tempo, as I'm in the process of already killing my 3rd camp while Shaco has only killed 2. Tempo is just another word for time and is used as a way to represent which jungler will get to a desired place first. In this case, I'm ahead of Shaco in getting to level 3 first, which will allow me to gank top lane first. This is how I'm ahead in tempo. As I move to my blue next, I look top and see that my Kled is low in health. I know that Shaco will want to gank this lane once he's level 3, so I move to set up a counter gank and protect Kled with my tempo advantage. I use my early sweeping lens that I got from using the ward trick we explained before, and I now know there's no way for the enemy to know that I'm here. As I wait to protect Kled from a Shaco gank, the enemy Kayle moves in to commit to a trade, and so I quickly take advantage of that and execute a gank. Shaco then looks to clean up the low health Kled, allowing me to make quick work of him after since he has no escapes. In the next game, I'm playing Jack's jungle against Rammus. The start of the game goes horribly wrong, and the enemy gets 3 kills on our team from an invade. As I respawn, I move to take my red buff, during which time I see that Rammus has stolen my blue and got another kill on my support. I have a choice here. I could invade Rammus's blue buff to try and equalize the position. However, Malphite still hasn't arrived in top lane yet due to the invade, and could check the blue as he moves top from his base. Additionally, I saw Rammus leave my blue immediately, so he could path extremely fast to his own blue to try and catch me there. With my flash also being on cooldown from the invade, I decided it's too risky to invade the blue, and instead look to execute the Korean Krug strategy to catch up in golden experience. As I leave my raptors, I see the scuttle is spawning, and immediately prioritize taking it, as since I don't have a blue buff, this will give me back the much needed mana I need to clear the rest of my jungle. After this, I move to take my Gromp and wolves. At this point, I'm fully expecting to recall, purchase items, and head to my Krugs as they will be respawning soon. But I see Rammus topside ganking. He only has 16 CS, along with double buffs. When I click on his portrait, I can see that his blue buff timer will last longer than his red buff timer. This tells me that after he stole my blue, he took his red, and then took his own blue to refresh his blue buff. Since each camp is worth 4 CS, and I know that he's taken my blue, his red, and his blue, this adds up to 12 CS. Since he has 16 CS, I know that he took 1 additional camp. This lets me know that it's highly likely that either his raptors or his Krugs are still alive, possibly both. So I immediately cancel my recall and move to invade, and sure enough his raptors are still alive. I make sure to leave 1 raptor alive to delay the respawn of the camp. This helps me equalize the position after he stole my blue. I then activate the Scryer's Bloom plant and see that his Krugs are still alive as well. I place a ward over it and choose to recall. This is because the enemy bot lane is under their tower and very close to the Krug camp. They could have seen me activate the Scryer's Bloom on the minimap and check the Krugs to see if I'm stealing them. Since I have no flash and am low on mana, I decide that it's too risky to try and take them and just recall. After this, I take my Krugs into my raptors. Then, since I've been doing a lot of farming, I look to weave in a transition gank. A transition gank is a very efficient kind of gank that you use on mid lane, where you gank them in order to transition to the other side of the map where your camps are. This gets me a kill on Vladimir with very little time investment on my part. Then, as I head to my blue, Rammus makes the mistake of trying to invade me. We can see how despite a horrendous start, through solid pathing fundamentals, I'm now a level up on Rammus. Take note of how after I come out of the taunt, I walk away from Rammus. This is because he has his W active, which would cause me to take damage every time I auto-attacked him. It's not until he tries to run away do I re-engage as his W is running out, resulting in an easy 1v1 kill on him. And lastly, we have a game where I'm playing Jax against Kayn jungle. To start the game, I ask my team to place a ward on the enemy's raptor camp. As I start red, I can see that Kayn is starting at his raptors and looking to execute a leashless opener. This is a popular route on Kayn we mentioned earlier, where he does raptors, red, Krugs into recalling, then takes his blue into scuttle. Here I plan to execute a counter strategy that we actually taught you in a recent guide titled How Fnatic Broxah Counters the Korean Krug Strategy. After taking my red, I immediately invade his blue. I know this is safe since he'll be spending so much time full clearing his red side jungle. After taking his blue, I take his wolves, making sure to leave one small wolf alive to delay the respawn, into then stealing his Gromp. And exactly like we taught you in that guide, we now have a gank opportunity top lane on the overextended Yorick, during which I'm able to get Yorick's flash. After this, we need to move to take the nearby scuttle as it's just spawned. At this point, I have one priority, protecting my blue side jungle. You see, I've gained a massive farm lead on Kayn from stealing his jungle, but since I ganked top after, this revealed me on the minimap. Kayn now knows I've stolen his jungle and that my blue side jungle is still alive, so we could move to invade, which would equalize the position. I move to transition gank mid so that I can protect my blue side jungle, and surprisingly not only does Kayn show up, but the entire enemy bot lane. This forces me to use my flash to escape, but my Aurelion Soul is able to get a kill on Draven during the process. After this, I move to check to see if the bot side scuttle is still alive, during which time I run into the enemy Kayn. Now, looking at this position, many of you are probably thinking that there's no way I can fight him. However, I have Smite up, which I can use to smite the scuttle or any camp to immediately give me health back. On top of this, I know that Kayn has no flash from using it a second ago. I can get Kayn to tunnel on me thinking that he can kill me, then I can buy enough time for my bot lane to collapse and kill him. So I don't engage on him as I wait for Taric to move from bot lane. I hug this wall as I'm planning to leap strike over it to my blue buff if Kayn tries to engage on me. After I leap over, he follows with his E ability, and once he engages, I activate my counter strike and smite my blue buff for health back. This successfully baits Kayn into allowing me to not only steal his blue side jungle, but take both scuttles into securing my own blue side jungle, giving me an insanely huge farm lead over him. Alright, that's going to do it for this guide. What did you think of it, and are there any other topics you'd like us to cover? Let us know in the comment section below, as well as any questions you might have. As always, good luck and have fun on Summoner's Rift.